Hello and welcome back, guys. I'm following up on another Kenneth Anderson's adventure today, and it's from the book Man Eaters and Jungle Killers, published in 1957. And the story that I'm following up today is The Great Panther of Mudiyanoor. Now, for those of you who are watching this channel for the very first time, my name is Shreyas. I'm a wildlife and nature enthusiast, and I like following up on Kenneth Anderson's stories. Now, for those of you who don't know who is Kenneth Anderson was a writer and hunter based out in Bangalore, and between 1910 to 1974. And he studied in Bishop Cotton's boys' school, and later on he went on to work in HAL. He was mainly famous for his adventures in the wild. That is, he went after man-eating tigers and leopards in and around Bangalore, basically in South Indian forests. And he has also written about his stories. He's written several books about these man-eating stories. And yeah, I have read a lot of them. I love following up on these stories to see where exactly these incidents and events took place, and also to show it to you guys. So that's what this series is about. And I've made a few videos already in this series, and if you want to check out, I'll put a link for that so that you can check out the other videos that I've done in this series. So now returning to this particular story, that is the Great Panther of Mudiyanoor, published in the book Man Eaters and Jungle Killers. So first of all, we need to understand where is this village Mudiyanoor. So the village of Mudiyanoor is located north of the Moyar Valley Gorge. It's actually on top of the hills, that is between Dimbam and a village called as Talavadi. So Mudiyanoor, even back in those days, it was a very small village. I think it's still a small village even now within the forest. And the villagers there were mainly dependent on agriculture. The soil was very rich, especially because they were formed from freshly cut forests. So the soil was very rich for and good for agriculture. And also they were into cattle farming. So they used to leave the cattle into the forest to graze, and then they would draw milk from these cows, churn butter, and then make ghee from that. And they would send this ghee all the way up to Dimbam. And from there, from Dimbam, they were packed and sent in trucks to places like Mysore, down the hill to Satyamangalam, and also places like Gopi-Chettipalayam. So that was the main occupation of these villagers at Mudiyanoor. And once in a while they would lose a cattle or two to tigers and leopards, because it was common. It even happens now, right? So villagers lose their cattle to predators. So it was happening, but if it became a regular occurrence, then that was a problem. And that's exactly what happened. So a leopard which was thought to have come from beyond Moyar gorge, that is somewhere from Anaikatti and Segur range, it had come over to Mudiyanoor and it started killing cattle regularly. So that became a problem for the villagers. Now Kenneth had a friend, his name was Hugie Hailstone, and he was a brilliant engineer, very good with machines, building machines and all. And he also had a successful business. So he had set up a farm here in Mudiyanoor, and its name was Moyar Valley Ranch. And it was a modern state of the art farm back in those days, because they had electricity there. He had windmills there, and also he had a refrigerator back then. So you are thinking about 1930s and 40s. So with great difficulty and lot of effort, he had set up that farm. But he used to travel a lot abroad because of his businesses, so he was not always there in the farm. So this leopard incident happened wherein it started killing a lot of cattle during one of his long absences. And in fact, this leopard also killed a Alsatian, what do you call, German Shepherd of Hugie Hailstone. So the caretaker Varghese, he wrote a letter to Kenneth Anderson to ask him to come over and help him get rid of this leopard. So Kenneth was busy at the time for 15 days, he couldn't take off. So his son Donald Anderson, he was excited, he thought of coming over here. And their Studebaker car, it had a broken axle, so it was not in working condition. But he had a friend, his name was Rustam Dudwala. So he approached his friend and asked him if he could join in on this trip. And yeah, Rustum was a pretty well-off guy. He had 3, 4 cars, and he readily agreed to this. Donald also called in on his another friend called as Cedric Bone. He was a wildlife photographer, very interested in taking photos of wildlife. So these three guys joined up, and they came all the way from Bangalore to Mudiyanoor, and that's how their adventure starts, and this story starts as well. Now, like I said, to reach Mudiyanoor, we need to either come from Dimbam or from Talavadi. Since Satyamangalam has become a tiger reserve, entry from Dimbam is allowed only for locals and not for outsiders. So unfortunately, we can't take that route, and we need to go via Talavadi. What I've done is I took the Bangalore Maddur then to Chamrajnagar route, and from there I've taken a deviation right at Suvarnavati Dam, crossed Talavadi, and I'm close to Mudiyanoor now. So I think I'm like 10 kilometers from Mudiyanoor. So I'll go there. I need to try and find this Moyar Valley Ranch, and then I'll continue with the rest of the story. I just parked here next to the road. There was a small stream here, so just took a break and started off the story, and now I'll continue. When I started off from Bangalore, it looked like it's going to rain, and it was pretty cold. But as soon as I enter Tamil Nadu, it's quite warm here. Imagine how it's going to be here in summer. I can see milk containers in that vehicle ahead. So I guess from Mudiyanoor they still send milk outside. Donald mentioned that the last 17-18 miles was pretty horrible road before they reached Mudiyanoor. So back in the day it was like hardly any roads, I guess. So it was just a dirt track. Luckily there's good roads here now. And I also just saw a fresh elephant dung. The forest remain. Now Donald has written that he took like 8 hours to reach from Bangalore to Mudiyanoor. So that's how bad the roads were. Now from this side there are 3 villages inside the forest. The first one that we are going to get now, I think is called as Neitalpuram. Then is Mudiyanoor, and after that is Talamalai. After Talamalai, we are not allowed to continue further towards Dimbam. That's the last, because there are a few resorts to stay in Talamalai. I can already see some elephant activity on the road. There are like broken twigs, leaves thrown on the road, and there are a lot of elephant electric fences here. We have arrived at Neitalpuram. Now after Neitalpuram, I will get another stretch of forest, after which we should get Mudiyanoor. So I think they're doing floriculture here. So, but I guess elephants even come and eat these plants. So because of that, they've put up these electric fences to prevent the elephants from coming over. Almost all the farms here have electric fences, by which you can make out that elephant. I mean, there are a lot of elephants here, and it's a problem for them. Even though I came alone from Bangalore, a couple of my friends are joining from Mysore. So they are coming separately. But here I see there is no mobile network also, so I'm not sure how to communicate with them. But yeah, I'll just keep heading towards Mudiyanoor and exploring, and hopefully I should be able to meet up with them. So I'm now crossing another stretch of forest between Nethalpuram and Mudiyanoor. There are a lot of bamboos here, but I see many of them have dried out. And there are a lot of eucalyptus trees. They say it's not a very good tree to have because it draws out groundwater. So guys, I have arrived at Mudiyanoor, and I suspect what I'm seeing there in the background is Moyar Valley Ranch, and it's now called as Tiger Ranch. I checked with a villager here. He says you can go and check out, but I see there is elephant what is it, barricade right here at the entrance, and the gate also I see is closed there. He says that you can just drive through and shouldn't be a problem. I'm not so sure. I'm thinking I'll wait for my friends and then decide if I can, or we'll see if we can get some local to help us get inside. I see someone inside, but there are some dogs also. Not sure, and they've closed the gate also over there. Not sure what to do. I guess I need to wait for some time, and there is no mobile network here. So now this farm is right next to the forest. It still is right next to the forest. It will be nice if I can go check out that farm, but in the meantime I'll wait to see if I can speak to some villagers here and check about that. But yeah, returning back to the story, Donald, his friend Rustum and Cedric, they all came here and they stayed here in Moyar Valley Ranch. And what they did was, this is Mudiyanoor village on this side. So they actually procured, back in the day, you know, whenever they used to hunt leopards or tigers, typically they would tie baits below a well marked tree, wherein they can sit on top of it, and once the animal makes a kill, they would actually take a shot from the tree. That was the set formula as to how they were hunting these animals. So they did the same here. They procured 4 young bulls and they tied in 4 strategic places. One, he says, was right next to the forest. Maybe I think somewhere in this, there is a forest line there. I think he tied one bull below a tree there. There are eucalyptus trees there now. I don't think there were eucalyptus trees back then. But yeah, he says they tied one bull there. Another bull is actually behind this farm. There is a lake there. I think quarter mile from there, maybe half a kilometer. So I've seen that lake actually. So they tied one more bull at that lake. So they tied 2 more bulls, one on the road which came towards Mudiyanoor, maybe on this road, and the second bull somewhere inside Mudiyanoor. So they tied 4 bulls and they waited because they need to wait for this leopard to kill that animals, right? So waited for 2-3 days. I think nothing happened, and on the 3rd day morning they noticed that a leopard had killed the young bull which was tied on the forest line near the farm. And apparently the same night, the previous night, a tiger had killed uh, another bull which was tied near the lake behind this Moyar Valley Ranch. Now the way they tied these bulls was always not from the neck. They would tie their leg to a tree, because they always say that a tiger or leopard feels suspicious if there is a rope around its neck, because they always go for the neck when they are making a kill. So that might prevent them from actually killing the animal. So they would always tie a rope to the leg, which would make the predator to feel like, maybe the animal is stuck, and then it might actually come and make the kill. So that's what they had done. So they had tied all animals with a rope except one. And Varghese, the caretaker, had informed that a tiger was calling near the farm since 2 days. So they actually tied a metal chain to the foot of the animal that was tied near the forest, near this ranch. ಇದು ಹ್ಯೂಗಿ ಹೇಲ್ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಅವ್ರದಾ? ಹೇಲ್ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದೇನಾ ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಹೌಸ್? ಓಕೆ ಸರಿ, ಬರ್ಬೋದಾ ಹಂಗಾರೆ ಒಳಗೆ?
ಬಂದು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು ಸಹ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ, ಸಾರ್ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಅವರು ಓನರ್ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಂದು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು.
So guys, I got lucky. I was waiting here. I met a caretaker of the farm here, and I also got to speak to the owner, current owner of this farm. And yeah, he confirmed that this is Hugie Hailstone's Moyar Valley Ranch. Now it's currently called as Tiger Ranch. Very excited because the current owner, he gave me the permission to go check out the guest house at least from outside. So I'm very happy. I'm going to wait for my other two friends to come over, and then we'll go check out the place inside. Coming back to the story, what happened was once they got to know that tiger had killed one of the cattle, one of the young bulls. Donald wanted to sit up for the tiger, but Rustam reminded him that, yeah, you better sit for the leopard, because that was why he had come here, to shoot the leopard. And he said he is going to sit for the tiger. Hugie Hailstone, he had a portable machan which he put on the forest edge, on the tree below which the bull had been killed. Cedric decided to sit with Donald, and Rustum with Varghese, they set up a machan near the lake behind this guest house, and they decided to sit on that machan for the tiger. So Cedric and Donald, by 4 o'clock, they went for the tree near the ranch, whereas Varghese and Rustum, they went for the water hole behind. So they sat there. There were a lot of mosquitoes in the evening and a lot of insects. Very difficult to sit in a machan in the forest in the evenings. And by around 7:45 or 8, Donald says there was no moonlight back then. It was just starlight, and in that starlight, Donald saw what he thought was a greyish, longish object move beneath the tree. He actually lifted his rifle. Donald was shooting from his left shoulder. He lifted his rifle and he looked down. He was about to turn on the torch, and that's when the barrel actually touched the tree. That's when the leopard gave a slight growl, and then it went inside the forest. 10 minutes passed and the leopard came back again, and you might have seen a cat, how it sits on its haunches and it licks its paws. So that's what the leopard started doing. But this time Donald switched on the torch and pointed the rifle at the leopard. He took a shot and the leopard immediately fell down. He thought the leopard was dead, but after a few seconds it picked itself up and ran inside the forest. He wasn't sure what to do next. They waited for some more time, but even after that, the leopard did not come. So what they decided to do next was, there were too many mosquitoes. The mosquitoes tormented them a lot, so he could not actually continue. After some time, they got down the tree. Donald got down first. Cedric lowered the rifle to him, and then he got down, and the last few meters Cedric jumped to the ground. As soon as he jumped, there was a loud growl from the forest behind. So that's when Donald realized, but maybe the leopard is still close by in the forest. So they waited for a little while. Nothing happened. The charge did not come. The leopard never charged at them. So they decided, Donald was actually not sure if he had shot the leopard or at all or not. But Cedric was pretty sure that he had shot the leopard. So they thought, okay, they are going to sit back on the machan. So they got back up the machan. They again spent the entire night. The leopard never came. In the morning, they got down and they started checking around to see if there was any blood trails, and Donald found a blood trail. So that's how they got it. It was confirmed that the leopard was actually shot there. So after this, Donald started following with Cedric 20 yards behind, and maybe 50 meters ahead, they found lot of blood marks. So they were pretty sure that the leopard was hit. And they continued a little while, another 100 yards, and they could see more blood traces there. Eventually, Donald was walking on the forest line, It's the forest and it's the farm, right? So on the between that there'll be a forest line. So they were walking, Donald walking in front, and he missed looking at a bush and he continued further. So it looks like the leopard was laying in waiting just behind that bush. As soon as Donald crossed it, leopard charged at him. In fact, Cedric was right on line next to Donald at that time, but somehow the leopard did not charge Cedric because maybe it was only looking at Donald. It charged at Donald, but however, the bullet from the previous evening, it had shattered its paws, so it was a little slow as it charged. And as it charged, it was a slightly slow charge because of its injury. Donald took a shot from his left shoulder. He was using a .423 Moyar, so he took a shot at the leopard, and it actually came little further wherein he had time to take another shot, and the leopard lay dead at his feet. In the meantime, then he realized that Cedric was actually in line with his shot. Actually, he was right behind the leopard, so he could have actually shot Cedric in mistake. So luckily that didn't happen and Cedric was alive, but he was jumping around because he had actually taken a photograph of the leopard chasing Donald. So this photograph is actually present, and I'll try to put that photograph here for you guys to see. So that's how the leopard was killed here. The leopard, after they skinned it by 9 o'clock that day, and it turned out to be a pretty big specimen, around 7 feet 9 inches, almost close to 8 feet from tip of the nose to the end of the tail. So that's why it was a pretty big leopard. So basically, in the meantime, Rustum and Varghese, they would not even have sat the entire night because of lot of mosquitoes. They would have come back to the farm and they would not have attempted at shooting the tiger at all. Alright, my friends just came now. We'll go inside, check out Moyar Valley Ranch, and then I'll continue with what happened next. So that's my friends Shashi and Chetan. ಏನಪ್ಪ ತುಂಬ ದಿವಸ ಆಯ್ತಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫ್ರೆಂಡಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿಯವರಾ ಚಿಕ್ಕಳ್ಳಿಯವರಾ Alright, finally we are entering the farm now. So this is the Moyar Valley Ranch. Lovely. I think this is the entrance. This looks like as it was 80, 90 years back. So this is the back side of the building. I think this part is not used at all. Maybe it's not maintained. But back in the day, to build something like this in the middle of the forest was definitely a huge effort. Alright, so coming back to the story, after shooting this leopard, they go check out that the tiger would have, in fact, after Rustum got down and got back to this guest house, in the night, it would have gotten down and it would have fed on that bull. So they come up with Donald comes up with a plan to again sit the next day. So they procure one more bull from which was tied near Mudiyanoor. They tie both the bulls near that lake, and then Donald, Cedric and Rustum, all three of them sit for that tiger the next night there. We'll now go to the water hole and check it out. So this is the edge of the farm. There is a lake right behind this, but there is a huge elephant trench here, and that's now belongs to forest area. It looks like that actually lake belongs to this farm only, but now it's been taken over and it's part of the forest area. So this was the water hole where Donald, Cedric and Rustum sat the next night for the tiger. They say the tiger started calling at around 9 or 10 o'clock in the night as they were sitting in the machan, because as it was descending from a hill behind this. So there is a hill there, so it was descending from that, and as it descended and got closer, a barking deer or kakar that gave a call somewhere close to the water hole. A little later, the bull that they had tied, it got nervous and it was trying to free itself. And just a few minutes later, the tiger charged and killed that bull. Rustum was trembling, maybe in excitement or fear. Donald held his shoulder. They sat there for a while until the tiger started feeding on the bull. And once it started feeding on the bull, that's when it was decided that Rustum will take the first shot and then Donald will follow. So they both lifted their rifle and switched on their torches. And as Donald waited, Rustum shot. He was using a double barrel rifle, a .405 and .400. So he shot both the barrels at the same time, killing the tiger instantly. The tiger just slid forward and died. And that's how this story ends. They shot both the leopard and the tiger. So the next day they actually measured that dead tiger. So it would have been a big male, close to 10 feet long. It was a pretty big tiger. Yes, that's the hill that Donald mentioned on which the tiger was calling before it got down to the water hole over there. Alright guys, so that's all there is to be told about this story. It was great coming to this place, checking out Mudiyanoor and Moyar Valley Ranch. Fantastic. Our adventure does not stop here. I'm actually staying in a resort nearby today, so I'm going to explore more, but that's for another vlog. And I hope you guys like this vlog. If you did, give a like, share with your friends, and there is also a new feature on YouTube. If you think this video needs to reach more people, you can hype the video. So there is, after you like, you can hype the video as well. So do consider doing that. That's about it. I'll see you around next time. Until then, take care, see you, and goodbye. That's the Nilgiri Blue Mountains that you can see in the background.